Hello everyone, welcome to Spaceport. This is Rory. Now, I wanted to talk about Andor Season 1 and basically my thoughts overall now that the season is over with the episode 12, which did finish, and just some more thoughts on Andor because, I know that it was kind of a few mixed reactions and whatever. I just want to give my, overall thoughts. But yeah, if you do enjoy the video, then make sure to subscribe and like as usual. And let's get into this. So I think the first thing I want to address is really the fact that the pacing of the show is very slow. Now, people say that it's quite good because it develops a lot of the characters and you can really get to understand, different character motivations and, what's going on in the universe. And I think that's always great and all, but at the same time there is a lot that is drawn out. And if you compare it to, I guess, the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, or really any other Star Wars content, there really is a big, tonality shift. Really with the pacing and also, the tone of it is different as well, which I'll get onto. But the pacing does feel that it is way too slow, and I do think this is a criticism. Again, it is kind of a preference for people. Some people like the fact that it is quite slow. I didn't really like it. I thought it was a bad idea for them to do it in this way. Especially with episode 1 and 2 were very slow. You do have kind of like the ending arc episodes, so like you have episode 3 that is like a bit more of a higher stakes episode, and then you've got like the heist as well, and the finale and the prison escape, and there are kind of hits like that, and you could debate that makes those moments more impactful, but yeah, overall I wasn't a huge fan of that either. Now, to follow on from that, the tonality. Now, people were saying that, that of course this is a more grittier version of Star Wars. We haven't really seen the universe depicted too, as realistic as this. It is kind of a difference from the original kind of Star Wars content that we normally see. And, it's because, of course, as I said, it's more grittier, and it feels more realistic, and it doesn't feel as, I don't know, fancy based like how the original Star Wars was meant to be. But then again, it is a good side of it, and I think it was pretty good to have kind of a different way of portraying Star Wars. Of course, got the animated series, which is a bit more it is just different, and this is a different way of presenting it. Now, into some of the bad things about the show, because I'll talk about some of the good stuff later, but one thing that did really stand out is the fact that there were a lot of, I would say, big plot holes or things that just completely didn't make any sense. So if we take the first one, which I was talking about with Spotchy on our podcast, if you haven't checked out the podcast, do it every now and then as well. But basically we were talking about how there was, when Andor, when he goes to prison, he has like a different identity he goes under, and it does kind of confuse the audience when earlier on in shows it is shown that characters are kind of recorded onto some sort of database, and even in the Bad Batch it was shown this, so it doesn't, like, I guess this is like earlier on in the Empire, and I guess the only way, excuse for this is that, maybe the technology or the Empire hasn't reached too many planets yet, so they couldn't have got everyone's identity and put it on some sort of database or something. But it really did stand out, and I was really confused because of course they're trying to find Andor, so it's a real big like thing. It's not like a small detail you can look over. So there was that, and then there was also the thing with Mon Mothma. So Mon Mothma is in the taxi, of course, talking with Perrin, and asks the driver to give them some privacy, and basically says how, you had a gambling past, and that's a reason now for the money that is being transferred somewhere, is why it's all gone. And this is basically their excuse because they know the driver is some sort of spy, or they presume that the Empire won't catch on to the actual whereabouts of the money being transferred from Mon Mothma. Now, this isn't an insanely clever idea from the gangster. Really, she could have thought of this herself. It's not like it just seems silly, and it doesn't seem like it was written well. people say that the show is written really well. I would say some of the characters are, but the main character moments and the main plot moments are written quite poorly, I would say. This show isn't perfect. There's so many problems with the show, but there are good things, and I'm going to talk about some of the good things right now. With the characters, Andor was, I guess, shown to be a pretty interesting character. There were some moments, when after the heist, when he kills, I can't remember the guy, he kills one of the guys at the very end, because he says, oh, you know what, we should just take the money and go somewhere else. And he kills him, and it just really was like kind of more of a shock, and it shows this dark side to Andor, but it also shows how he's a good guy, and he wants to stop the Empire, and he's doing all he can to try and do that after when he kind of realizes that he wants to be a part of the rebellion. And that side of the show I thought was pretty good. Of course, other characters, Mon Mothma, other than the major, I guess, plot, how that was written, with the money, a pretty good character as well. I like seeing how she was kind of rich, but she didn't like the fact that other people were being like trodden on by the Empire, and that was a good side to it as well. There are of course a few other characters, and one of the benefits as well is the cinematography. The camera work is incredible, and the lighting and basically kind of how it looks, and it really does show that the characters, and I would say especially the aliens, looks way more like Star Wars than pretty much any show that Disney has put out. In the Book of Boba Fett, we had the Gamorrean guards, and I'm not even joking, they were horrible. They were horribly done, I would say anyway. The fact that Disney have all this money to make some Star Wars content, and they make them look like just they clearly look like suits, and they're not like gritty at all. They don't look how they do in the Return of the Jedi, and those moments take you out of the show. But yeah, all I want to say is that the characters, the alien side of it, they were brilliant, and it didn't seem rushed, and they took their time to design those outfits like really well. And then the lighting, cinematography, it was brilliant. But yeah, there's some other benefits. I did think the show was fairly entertaining, but I do think one of the things about the show that really brought it down was the pacing of it. And I don't know, personally for me, I don't like that style of it. I did manage to watch them every week though, so it wasn't too bad for me to try and catch up. I didn't feel like it was a chore too much. But sometimes I did feel like, oh, maybe I could, like just skip it a bit, and that's a bad thing for a Star Wars show, I would say, or just any show in general. So then my thoughts on Andor. I just want to give more thoughts on, the Andor season 1, and I would say in the future for Andor season 2, they're probably going to go with the same style, the same pacing. I think if this show had the same pacing as The Mandalorian did, with the same kind of style, with the tonality, then maybe it would have been better. And actually, I think it would have been better. But yeah, the pacing was probably a major downfall, and the plot holes, I would say as well. It's not a perfect show. It was entertaining in some parts. The heist was amazing. The prison break was pretty good as well. And the finale had some good action, but yeah, just overall there was just some moments that felt rushed in the writing, and it kind of showed more of its problems throughout the show. Also, just want to say that the constant plot that is being repetitive throughout pretty much all the shows is some sort of like village or group that goes up against, like rises up against some empire. It's just been done so much, and it's kind of boring, I won't lie. It's always in like some certain town. There's always a new town in these shows that like rise up against some empire or something. I just find that to be an annoying kind of plot now because it's so repetitive. But that's all I want to say for Andor. I don't know if you did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, tell me in the comment section down below. Yeah, my review, I thought it was okay of a show. I think it's better than the Book of Boba Fett, I would say, definitely. And I don't know, it's hard to compare some of the shows, but it was okay. It wasn't spectacular. I much preferred Tales of the Jedi. But that was my thoughts on the episode. Again, tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. But yeah, have a good day. See you later.